Hello and welcome to Kitco Mining with me, Paul Harris, here in Dawson City in Yukon, in Canada. We are at the Yukon Mining Investment Conference and I have the great pleasure to be joined this afternoon by Stuart, Harshaw, President and CEO of Nickel Creek Platinum. Good afternoon, Stuart.
Afternoon. I hope you're enjoying the Yukon.
Very much so, very much so. Excellent. Now, your Nickel Creek is one of the more advanced companies in terms of the ones we've been interviewing and speaking with here. You've got a PFS underway just around the corner, apparently coming out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. It's very exciting times when you take it down. I always call it the first exciting thing is you find it. That's in the exploration when you start to define what you found, and then really the next phase is getting into the PFS and getting that out. Really, the PFS for us is that first step to kind of having the conversations that need to happen with the other type of major resource companies or OEMs or other people that are in the industry that are following projects that are getting closer to production. And that's really kind of taking us from what I call that gray area in the middle between exploration and development. So that's really exciting to kind of take this project there.
Okay, let's sort of put that into an overview of the project, and I know you can't talk about perhaps numbers yet at this moment in time, but give us an idea of what we can perhaps expect to see from the PFS.
Oh, certainly. The big one for us is we increased the size of our overall resource. We did put that out, so we got about 436 million tons of M&I, measured and indicated. And we have within that about 2.5 billion pounds of nickel, 1.3 billion pounds of copper, and over 7 million troy ounces of platinum, palladium, and gold, plus we have cobalt. So it's a very large resource, defined. We've also done detailed metallurgy, so we've been able to prove out, both the recoveries as well as the ability to produce a nickel and copper concentrate. So we've actually advanced ourselves into our knowledge of this ore body to the point that we are ready for the PFS. The engineering is been exciting and fun because you're actually seeing drawings of the plants and you're working on the details of it. And so we're looking at a 45,000 ton per day mill. It's a very large mill. We do have a strip ratio of about 2-to-1, so it's a very, very large earth moving project because it's these lower grade projects, great metals in it. We have a 0.5% nickel equivalent, if you will, within it, but we're going to be moving a lot of material, and so it's a very big, large investment for the Yukon. So it's a very big piece of.
Okay, nickel, copper, PGMs, a bit of cobalt. You've pretty much got everything that humanity needs in there.
It's definitely got the critical metals. It's for some investors, it's a challenge because they're multi-metals. We like nickel, or I like copper. What you find with having coming out of the base metal business for like the last 35 years, having multi-metals is always better for producing companies because it really prevents you from getting too much swing from a single commodity swing. So that benefit to a nickel project of having the PGMs is, I call it a sweetener. It kind of helps even the overall impact of price swings of market conditions.
Okay, Canada's got a critical mineral strategy. Yukon's got a critical mineral strategy. So they're both very good things to be able to sort of tap into, to have available to be able to tap into. What specific benefits do you think you can receive from those initiatives?
So the biggest one from the federal government is the tax incentive. So they got an income tax incentive that will dramatically improve, the bottom line for our companies and help us bring these projects forward. So that's been very beneficial. There's a lot of research as you're kind of working on some of the more research items, so a lot of Canadian programs for that. And really the infrastructure. So the Yukon is really focused on how can we help from a infrastructure point of view to help these critical minerals move on. But I wouldn't put it only Canadian. So I would actually throw in the U.S. as well, because they're looking at it from a global perspective of the risk associated with critical minerals only coming from other parts of the world where things are a little bit more politically dicey, for want of a better word. And so they've got initiatives to look at these critical minerals in North America, and we're included into that. So there's opportunity in the U.S. as well to take a look at how we move these projects forward.
Now, Yukon's at the sort of northern end of North America, and so parts of it have infrastructure, parts of it are lacking infrastructure. This morning, the Premier Ranj Pillai talked about the government, the Yukon Territories government's aims to advance conversations with British Columbia about connecting the grids and giving the territory access to the hydropower there, which will obviously be a real benefit for development. What other infrastructure would potentially your company need to benefit from?
So we're lucky enough that we're right on the Alaska Highway, so we don't have a road issue associated with us. The biggest one for us is the energy component, but I'd say that's true of almost all the mines that you'd be talking to, or potential mines, if you will. The energy side for us is we're going to do an LNG plant as a base case. If we can get grid power through hydroelectrics from BC, even better, because it's even better from a carbon footprint point of view, and it would definitely fit well within that matrix. But as a company, we can't count on that waiting for that, but it would be something that we'll be definitely involved and encouraging for. The other big piece that the Yukon will be doing is where the employees will living. So you've heard that there's 44,000 people in the Yukon, and for most people from other major cities, and that sounds like a very small a number. And it is, in the sense, when you start putting numbers like if we've got to add, say, 500 to 600 employees. That's a significant increase in the number of people living, because they don't usually come alone, right? So some will be with families. And so now what we'll be looking for is support in helping the local communities grow to be able to take the long-term employees that would be going there. And that would be an area where we would be working with the government structurally and from an infrastructure point of view.
Because that has impacts on housing and public services, health, education, etc. It puts extra stress on.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. Water, power. It really does have an impact on everything.
Okay, so PFS just around the corner. What comes after that? Are you going to sort of progress towards a feasibility study, financing, things of that nature?
Definitely. So the next step would be to, once we have a pre-feas out, would be looking at how are we going to finance a feasibility study, working with different partners to push that forward, and then work a feasibility. It's going to take a few years to get a feasibility study done. And then at that point, once a feasibility study is done, then you're really looking at build, options in the financing of the project itself. So it's kind of the last stage, if you will. Yeah.
Okay, the capital markets haven't been particularly kind to juniors and developers in recent months. As you're looking to go forward, having access to potential government funding sources, I imagine is particularly attractive. But as you sort of look to take the next steps further forward, to what extent or not is it attractive to bring in, other strategic partners?
Yeah, strategic partners are definitely, the capital markets are a challenge right now. So, in general, people don't have as much money that they're risking into the market, equity markets. But also, I would say that there hasn't been a general shift into the retail into the mining industry. Everybody's still buying your Meadows and your other tech stocks. I would say that there's going to be a shift at some point where the bricks and mortar and mining businesses start to be more attractive for long-term investments, and we would benefit from that. But strategic partners are very critical to really a large capital intensive type of investment like us. We need that type of support where somebody else is coming in as a strategic partner to it. Yeah, so that we're definitely going to be looking towards opportunities on that front.
I'd imagine that's even more important given we're talking about nickel, because eventually, as and when you dig it out of the ground, you've got to find someone to sell it to that can process it into the metal or whatever the nickel chemical is.
Yeah, because we're sulfides. The number that it would be the nickel smelters are and refineries are well situated. We have two in Sudbury in Ontario, and so there is availability to ship to these type of smelters. Who we get as a strategic investors can be anything from car companies to battery companies to resource companies. I mean, the world has changed in terms of who's interested in that kind of investment because people are very concerned about securing supply. And so there's a lot more, especially with the critical metals, there's a lot more interest in going downstream, if you will, or upstream, depending on who you're talking to, and getting more involvement. And so who we talk to is going to be fairly broad-based.
It sounds like you've got some exciting conversations ahead of you just around the corner.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's always good to be at that stage, right? I mean, it's hard talking about something in the future all the time. It's going to be so much nicer to have something and be talking about this and piece of paper and this ability to kind of move this project forward.
Stuart Harshaw, President and CEO of Nickel Creek Platinum, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you. It was great.
Stay tuned to Kitco Mining for more from the Yukon Mining Investment Conference.